is going on? Bardown Breakdown. And tonight we're hanging with Joe and Kieffer from Tequila Mockingbird. What's going on, guys?
Honestly, not too much. Not too much. We're vibing tonight.
What is up?
Holding down in Michigan. Whereabouts in Michigan?
Where are you tonight,
Complicated.
Well,
right now I'm in
we're-
Kalamazoo.
Yeah, we're a Lansing band, but I don't live in Lansing. It's very funny. Everyone thinks I live in Lansing because I just went to all the shows, but I live like an hour away. But there was really no issue ever because like Lansing shows always popped off the most. And the people were the nicest to me there, so I always just drove an hour out there. So now everyone thinks I'm in Lansing.
Yeah. I'm from Lansing, live in Lansing, and am like, yeah, part of that scene that we like just kind of like co-opted Joe into the Lansing scene.
Pretty much.
And then for a while, for like, the majority of Tequila's full band lifespan, we were 2 parts Lansing. Me and Maverick both lived in Lansing. And then Joe just lives out in, Wixom, now White Lake, whatever. But we're kind of all over, and we have a lot of fill-in drummers from time to time. So we're kind of just Michigan now.
Yeah, our main drummer is a firefighter, so he's doing actually important stuff. So it's not really an issue when he doesn't show up. It's like, you could have seen us play to 40 people in an emo band, or you could have saved lives in the Flint area. I don't know. I think one's a little more important.
Hey, it depends on who you're asking. But
yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Now, Lansing, is that Michigan State's home territory?
Yes.
Okay.
Kind of. Technically, MSU is in East Lansing, and East Lansing and Lansing are 2 separate cities. They have different laws, different codes, different municipality, the whole deal. When a lot of people think Lansing, they also think MSU, East Lansing. It's certainly 2 different cities, but it's a difference of 15 minutes. They have an incredible amount of overlap. I myself work for MSU now, so there's a lot of overlap between the 2 cities.
Gotcha. So my roommate from college, his sister went to Michigan State, and I went to school in upstate New York.
Oh, okay.
They were like, hey, a bunch of you want to jump in the van and go, visit my sister, and we'll go to a football game and everything. I was like, yeah, I don't know anything about Michigan State. I'll go. And we're tailgating and pre-gaming before the game. And, I didn't really know that too much of the college football. And I was just like, yeah, let's go Michigan. Trying to fit in.
Oh no. Oh no.
And that did not go well. Not go well at all at the tailgate.
Yeah. Michigan State is very much the more generous when it comes to giving out scholarships to people, and in general, it's a huge campus, but
yeah,
it's also got a reputation for being quite the party college. It was.
I have played a lot of MSU parties.
Yeah, they are. It's pretty party heavy. And then Michigan's stuffy. Really, it's like a faux Ivy League college. That's the vibe that they give off a lot of times, is that they're one of the most accredited universities, so they have a lot of almost uppity air to them. Michigan State fans are insane. And anytime they would win a rivalry game, they'd start burning couches and throwing them outside of their windows. That was the thing that they did. That was a big thing. Yeah, both teams. In football, Michigan State was called the little brother forever. But in hockey, both are pretty damn good.
Yeah.
Really good. Typically both perennial contenders. So
yeah, and then you have Western Michigan. You have a few pretty solid hockey teams in Michigan.
Yeah, no, and Michigan benefits a lot from having a lot of college towns. A lot of shows pop off, especially in times that you don't think they will, because there's a college around. Because there's Western, Eastern, Central. There is Northern. We played a co-op around Northern Michigan.
Mm-hmm.
And that was crazy. that was a crazy show.
Pretty cool show. Yeah, there's also in Kalamazoo alone, there are 3 different colleges, right? 3 campuses within Kalamazoo, because there's Kalamazoo College, Western Michigan, and then Kalamazoo Community. Kalamazoo Valley community. So even within Kalamazoo alone, they have 3 different campuses around. So,
even Grand Valley State is and that's in goodness, it's in Grand Rapids, which is like one of the fastest
yeah.
growing
Well, it's
cities in the
mostly
entire
in
country.
Allendale. Yeah, most
Yeah.
of the GVSU campus is in Allendale, but it's so big that it like stretches all the way into Grand Rapids.
Right. So now this all makes sense because we talked to Mitch from Saturdays at Your Place like maybe a couple of months ago, and he was talking about the college house shows and like Kalamazoo and how it was just like so easy to just like play packed out house shows all the time because of all the college kids. And I'm like, really? Like, because my college experience was so different. Like, there was no DIY like emo shows going on in my college. So like to hear that, I was like, that's kind of cool. But now hearing that there's so many damn colleges in Michigan, it freaking makes sense.
Yeah, the kids don't care. They're just there to party. So they'll go and they just see that there's a party at a house and a band's playing and it's cool to them. They don't really care what you're playing, but they're excited to be there, and that's where you get a culture of a bunch of bands that, especially younger ones, that just play like half covers. And you can always tell the ones because they're like, we're gonna play an original, and then they play it and it's like 5.5 minutes because that's just what happens when you're a young band and no one tells you your song shouldn't be 5.5 minutes. And then they're like, here's a cover, and then they play like Mr. Brightside. In the co-ops, that probably goes triple platinum. That intro riff starts and the kids are probably crowd surfing and punching you already.
Touche. Yeah, that's the recipe right there.
I think if you played Mr. Brightside at like a Lansing DIY show, somebody would try to punch you in the face legitimately.
Joe unknowingly doesn't know that our post-hardcore band, before he was in it and I played guitar.
No, I do remember that.
The first show we played at the church of Elvis Presley in Lansing, we covered Mr. Brightside, and they did a circle pit to it. They did a circle pit to Mr. Brightside in the church living room.
Yeah, dude, people in Michigan don't do circle pits to anything. No, those are circle pits and two-step to anything.
Man, and
it's funny.
Down here, man, like you gotta like beg kids to move sometimes at shows.
Yeah, where are you located around?
I'm in Charlotte, North Carolina.
Is that around where
Heights mentioned? Kerosene Heights mentioned.
Kerosene Heights is from that state, but I don't know how.
Yeah,
close.
they're from Asheville.
They're from Asheville, so it's a little bit further, right? It's like an hour and a half or something.
Yeah, and when we talked to them it was probably like a year ago. They were saying that like they kind of consider Charlotte their home because there's not too much of a scene in Asheville.
Yeah,
we have the benefit of like having like a hotbed of emo stuff going on around us all the time. A lot of places, I take this for granted a lot of times. A lot of places don't have that, or they have so many options like Chicago, where it's like, how do we build the scene when every single weekend, like the biggest bands across the entire country are?
Yeah. So I actually grew up on Long Island though. So yeah, that was
Glassjaw.
Yeah. So that's like my wave of emo music. I'm 39 years old, so I was going to those shows on Long Island in the early 2000s, and it wasn't as like a DIY culture as like house shows and stuff, just because Long Island isn't really like geographically made for that because the houses are like literally on top of each other. So you try to do in a house show and they're gonna call the cops like instantly. Didn't really have too many house shows growing up and doing that, so it was more of the local venues that were all ages, which were freaking so important, and that's why so many bands like really took off in the early 2000s on Long Island.
Because y'all like Glassjaw, but what were some of the other bands that were coming out of there? Because there was a crazy amount of them.
Dude, so you have As Tall as Lions, which was like my go-to band, who now that lead singer is Dan Nigro, who wrote like Olivia Rodrigo's album.
Oh my God.
Chapel Roan. Yeah.
So I know I've heard Dan Nigro.
Yeah. So that was like my main local band. My friend was their TM. You have The Sleeping, Taking Back Sunday, Brand New, Bayside. Like that.
Oh my God. Yeah. I was going to say, like, I remember Long Island was kind of like the hub for that wave. Well, not necessarily hub, but like that's where like a lot of bands were coming out of.
Yeah. Good amount.
Michigan, it's not like quite to that level, but we've had Hot Mulligan Saturdays at Your Place.
Fireworks.
I mean, every couple of years there's like a pretty integral band that comes out of Michigan, and people don't really talk about it. A lot of dispute. Every couple of years, Michigan produces a band that like genuinely is pretty foundational to the overall alternative scene. And unfortunately, sometimes they break into the mainstream, like Greta Van Fleet. Yeah, you get your Bear versus Sharks, but you also get your Kid Rocks, and we deeply apologize for Rob Ritchie.
Is Bear
Deeply
vs. Shark
apologize for that one.
Bear vs. Shark
Yeah.
is
For
from
every Danny
Michigan?
Brown, there's also an
Yeah.
Eminem.
Dude, I have such
Yep.
a good Bear vs. Shark story.
Yo, their singer and their guitar player went to the same high school as me. I didn't even realize that until later. I looked at like they posted something on their like Facebook, and they're like, Lakeland High School kids, and I went, me? That was the sickest thing because I was super into them in high school, and I still am. That band rocks.
That band really does rock. So yeah, I got the privilege of seeing them on Long Island in 2005.
Pretty close to when they broke up, because I know they don't last long after Terror Rock.
No,
Maybe
yeah,
a year
like
or two.
it was pretty much like right before they broke up. But they were on tour. This band, Gatsby's American Dream.
Yeah,
and-
I've heard that.
And it was Circa Survive's like first tour.
Yes.
Whoa.
Yep.
Yeah, and it was like 20 people there, if that.
There's
crazy.
a crazy tour in like the West Coast, and I looked at like dates of it to just make sure that it was real. But on the West Coast, because these bands were on Equal Vision, it's like the Fall of Troy, and they just dropped Doppelganger, Coheed and Cambria, and they just dropped Good Apollo 1, and like Bear vs. Shark, and I think it's like Circa Survive is like the fourth band, because all those bands were on Equal Vision. But you just look at that list and you go, holy shit.
Yeah, Equal Vision's in like 2000.
Early mid 2000s, they were running like post-hardcore, especially the artsy stuff that ended up really actually influencing people. They're still doing stuff, but like, oh my god, yeah, that era, they were just producing like genre-defining classic after genre-defining classic.
I'm like pretty
Like
sure
that ethos is like the ethos I've always tried to instill in my writing in our band. It's like I want us to be a one of one type of deal, and take influence from a bunch of different stuff and not sound like anyone else. So that's like where the ethos comes from.
Yeah, that's the label, right? Like they definitely always kind of stood out from the other kind of, especially it got a little like cookie cutter at some point. Like they always were, like you said, like the artsy or like labels that had a roster that was doing stuff that was different.
Well, my summation of post-hardcore in the 2000s is that it starts with At the Drive-In's Relationship of Command and ends with Sleeping with Sirens, who do have good songs, but it's a completely different vibe shift. Once the mallcore stuff comes in and they kind of realize the sounds that they can get out of it, the Thursday is a lot different from Pierce the Veil, and that's the beginning and end of the decade. Of course, the end of the decade, it's not all doom and gloom. There are bands like Lower Definition, and I finally listened to my first Emery record today. Wow, good stuff. Yeah, I know.
Which one did you go with?
I went with the one with the guy off the boat from 2009.
Oh, okay.
Like jumping off the boat. Really good stuff. Yeah, dude, I was embarrassed because like I liked the snob stuff. I went on all the music forums and stuff, so I went to the deep end of the pool, and now I'm trying to bring myself back in. So like, yeah, like I only listened to Silverstein or like The Used for the first time like 2 years ago. So it's very funny.
What different times though? Because like, people who are now discovering Emery, they're doing it more like grassroots and like the DIY way of finding out about them. But no joke, there was a TV commercial for Emery. Like
yes, they were quite big.
Which is crazy to think that at some point they were literally putting commercials of this type of music on.
It's very funny, especially in Emery's case, because it's like that's like if you had like the valedictorian who takes AP classes sitting in the regular English class. Like they're sitting there and they're touring with like Under Oath. I like Under Oath, and they're touring with those bands, and it's like their level of like where they're going and their intelligence and what they're doing. It's like I feel like that probably went over a lot of people's heads, right? Like the scene kids who go to Hot Topic. I don't know if they're rocking with the violin intro.
I think it was just, the screamo wave, right? If there was a little bit of screaming,
I guess
like people were into it. If they could wear their skinny jeans and mosh, they were like all for it.
It's kind of like the same thing now. If you wear your flannel and there's a little bit of noodles in there, kids are coming out to that.
Is that a cat's tail?
It's a cat's tail. How's it going, Kieffer? Sorry, I post-hardcore
I'm getting squished.
Oh my god.
I'm getting
big cat.
I love it. Now, I'm just curious, and I don't know if this was just like a social media kind of post or what, but are you a legit teacher?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Not like I'm like I did a long-term subbing gig. I have like a sub license, so it depends. But for the most part, yeah, I did the long-term subbing thing, and it's not a bit. No.
Okay, because
No.
I know that there are some bands and stuff that do just gimmicks and whatnot to
No,
get
that
likes,
one
and
wasn't a gimmick.
that was
No,
legit.
I
Okay.
could get fired if my administration saw that. They don't care much as long as I keep it relatively PG.
Amen. Yeah, I'm a teacher as well, and I saw that and I was like, man, his students like know that he likes Glassjaw. That's so cool. I would love to be able
There's
to.
like 3 Glassjaw songs I can play. I picked the ones off Worship and Tribute. I do the ballads. So you Trailer Park Jesus, Must Have Run All Day, Ape Dust Mill. And then anytime a kid is interested in it, I always warn them. I'm like, if you start with the first record, be warned, it's like really misogynistic. I literally tell them straight up, I'm like, the hit, like Ape Dust Mill is the apology track for that record. That's what it's about. So like when I tell the kids that, I'm like, yeah, good record. It's my least favorite Glassjaw release. It's good, but like I like the stuff afterwards more. But like I always inform them, I'm like, so I'm gonna let you know, it almost borders on self-parody how misogynistic it is.
Yeah.
Like Jane Doe isn't as misogynistic, and the point of that record is like to be crazy over the top and with that. But like it's like black metal or like grindcore levels of misogynist. There's some lines in it that are so bad that I like laugh even when I hear them. But yeah, they're interested in some of the stuff. Some of it they don't like, but then some of it they like listen to The Speed of Sound and Seawater. Are like, oh, that's pretty good. Can't get them on everything.
Yeah, like I have a few students who have, because I teach 5th grade, and I had a few students this year start coming to school wearing Weezer shirts. I don't know why there's all these like 5th graders that like Weezer.
Weezer is like a meme. Unironically, I think a lot of kids still probably will get into alternative music by hearing the Blue album because they see it. It's everywhere.
That's what the T-shirts are. Yeah, it's of that album.
And it became a meme. The Blue album like literally just became a meme.
Yeah, and I was like, maybe this could be my entryway to like talk music. And I was just like, hey, you guys like check out Jimmy Eat World yet? Because like that's kind of like the next step. I feel like, or it's adjacent at least. And they knew who Jimmy Eat World was, so I was like, all right,
that's awesome.
Yeah,
that's sick.
Our future's bright,
dude. I hope so. That's a band that will never get enough credit, and any praise they get is pretty deserved.
We covered Sweetness one time, and it did not go very well.
But it was, it's a tough song to sing and play at the same time.
We covered it at a show with Callie Cousins.
Oh, was that the time we did it?
Yeah, it was when we played Callie Cousins. It was when we played Callie Cousins' Metal Frat.
Do we want to run that back? Not Sweetness, but the Jimmy World song. I feel like we could rock one. I play the JA90, and my sound is modeled after the same shit Jim uses. We could run it something back. I don't know.
We could run it back. That'd be fun.
Yeah, that's
maybe
like
we just pick a deep cut.
Pop singers trying to cover Whitney Houston, right? Like a emo band doing Jimmy Eat World and doing it right. It's like, all right, let's really step it
up. There's no era where it's easy to translate because their sound is always so lush. I mean, and Jim Adkins has always said like the record is the record, and then we'll figure out how to play it live. And I totally did that at some point when we were recording the album. I just was like, I don't care. I'll figure out how to play it. And then once that flip switched, I was like, if that's how he does it, I'm gonna do it too. And that's how we added a bunch of weird effects that, I don't know. We'll work it out. It makes sense though, because like the record lives forever.
That's true.
We're not jazz musicians. The record is what lives forever in rock music.
Amen. I love that. That's true. Now, I'm just curious. I love origination stories. I love hearing kind of how you guys got started and how bands got started. Any funny story, or just like a bunch of friends that you're kind of knew for a while and started to rock together.
Well, we did know each other for a while. I was a solo act forever, and then just had too many shows where I had very uninterested crowds, and I just got annoyed about it. And then eventually, I was like, "All right, I'm done." And then I drove to Kieffer, told them, "Let's try this." I knew them as being an extremely technical guitar player, and I was like, maybe if I put them on bass, we'll get something interesting out of that. And now we're at the phase where they look at me and they're like, "Joe, watch this," and they'll do stuff like this, and I'm like,
But Joe and I also previously, while Joe was still solo, we had a post-hardcore band that Joe drummed in, and
Yep.
I did vocals in. And we did that. I mean, like, initially, that was pretty early on. Like, you played, like, maybe, like, 4 or 5 solo shows before you joined Dear Heretic and we went full band.
Yeah,
So,
but that band was fun as hell to play.
yeah.
It's
Dear
really fun
Heretic
to
was a
play.
lot of fun. It was weird because at the time, there was, like, no other, like, we weren't that heavy, but, like, I screamed, and that was, like, the main thing. And, like, we had some breakdowns, I guess, and, like, yeah, we were like the heaviest band around for a minute. So people used to just go like really wild in our mosh pits, but not in like I don't know, it felt like this very like club party type vibe in the mosh pit. Like everyone was just like dancing and having a ton of fun and like would kind of like I don't know. I have some really vivid memories of being in like the middle of a Dear Heretic mosh pit, and it's like 12 people I know, and they're all like arms linked around each other. They're all just like bouncing up and down in unison around me. Because the whole thing with the Heretic was I wasn't on stage at all. I would just like go into the crowd the entire time and just like fuck around in the crowd the entire time. I don't know. We did that for a couple years, and then eventually went full band with Tequila, and then it's been like 2.5, 3 years now.
Yeah, 2-ish years, 2.5
Do you
years.
remember what was the first show we played? The first show we were supposed to play full band was going to be TGZ 12. We were going to do a secret set. And that would have been February of 2023. Or February 2024. But I think we played one show prior, maybe in January.
Yeah, I think it was January because with
Was
you
it
on it
movies like
specifically.
Fest?
Was with you specifically on it? Maybe I think because I was like, that's low stakes. Let's have fun doing that.
Because the first full band Tequila Mockingbird set was a Charmer cover set for TGZ 10. And it was Pete from Small Comforts on bass and John from Final Boss Fight on drums.
Which is really
and then
funny
you played one more show with that lineup. It was 0.5 Fest at the Lager House.
Yep, that would have
been November.
It would have been December. Yeah, right at the end of December. And then
December 2023.
The turn of the year, I think. The turn of the year, I think that's when I think I finally approached you and I was like, so yeah, I don't think Pete's gonna come down for every show.
Yeah.
And I think I approached you and I was like, you want to play bass?
Yeah. And then we rocked you, me, and John for a little while. And then John left and we were like, who else are we gonna have drum but like Maverick Pardee, the drummer for every other Lansing band of all time. So then we had Maverick join. And then we rocked that trio for a while. And now Mav's doing firefighter stuff. And
so I don't know. He can come back anytime.
He can come back anytime, but we've been having a lot of other drummers play with us. We had Nick from Glenn play a few shows with us.
Young band. That band specifically is interesting because they are like adding like emo stuff more as time goes on, but they're young kids, but they're influenced by like jam band stuff. So it's kind of sick because you'll just see them groove on something for like a minute straight and do something that really bands since like the 70s or 80s haven't done. But it adds to the live show because those bands were really good live. Those bands, they knew what they were doing live. They're adding a bunch of different influences. Their guitar players are very good. Like they're very good musicians.
Mm-hmm.
It's just an interesting flavor.
We've had Drake from Clipboards play with us recently, and
fucking
then
monster.
Lately, a lot of the time we've had Cody Catilla from Nunya play for us. He's been playing for us a lot lately. He just played Soup Fest with us, I think he's gonna. We have a tour we're gonna do in July, and I think he's gonna come on tour with us.
It's gonna be great. Cody is like a punk drummer, and he's played in I don't even know how many Lansing
He's
bands.
played in a
Like
lot of
he's been like
bands. Most like
big
notably,
guy.
he played in Ask, was a pretty popular Detroit hardcore band for a while, and then he plays drums for Get Tough, which is RB, who plays bass in Save Face. It's RB's band.
And
Gotcha.
Drake from Clipboards. Clipboards is like a math rock, emo adjacent, but like mostly math rock type of deal, and they're incredible. That's how we
Yeah,
found out our producer for
he's a
the
really
record.
technical drummer.
He's crazy, and it's really funny talking to him because like he's played with us enough times where he knows our bits. So sometimes he'll just send me a text and he's like, "Can we walk out to some fucking brutal death metal?" And he'll send me stuff, and he literally refers to it as caveman shit. And then I'm like, "Have you ever heard like a math grind record?" Because like I like mathcore, and then I like grindcore sometimes. But I'm like, have you ever heard of this? And then I'll show him like Robinson, the Great City, which is a 21-minute album, and 10 of the songs are like a minute long, and the last one is in an 11-minute sludge track. It's a fun record, and it's just from the mid 2000s, and like I don't know how I found out about it, either browsing RYM or Metal Archives, and I was like, I don't know what the hell this is, but I'll give it a listen. And then I did, and I laughed my ass off. Those
Unreal.
Yeah, man, mathcore and all that stuff. I mean, I don't even know they play that. I don't even know they play that.
I don't think there was much of
stuff
that going on Long Island at the time.
No, I love stuff that challenges me as a listener, or I genuinely sit there and go, I haven't heard this before. Like, even if I didn't like it. Like, I distinctly remember the first time that I listened to The Locust, and I went, I don't think I like this, but I'm going to listen to more of it.
and that's the thing. I don't know. With the whole streaming world that we live in now, I feel like that has gone away, right? Because
to a degree,
I do think some favorite records of ours had to become acquired taste, right? Like you had to give it the chance because you were driving to the record store and buying a record for $12 or a CD for $12, and then you only had a 5 CD changer in your car or whatever at the time. So like once it got in your CD player, you're like, it's a lot of work to take it out and whip out the big binder of all my CDs and change it. So like a CD would live in your car for a while.
Yes, absolutely. And then you become attached to it over time because it's exposure. The more exposure you have to something, the more likely you're going to give something its chances. Some albums, it immediately clicks with you. Like, I got into post-hardcore through, I saw Res Against, but then I saw Let Live open, and they were crazy. And then once I found out Fake History, I was immediately into it. And then I went on message boards, and there were albums that immediately rocked me. And then there were ones that I thought were okay, but then I kept giving it a chance. Initially, like Drive Like Jehu didn't impress me because you don't get the situation surrounding these bands. You're just like, okay, and you don't look at the year or whatever, but then you're like, how did they write this shit in 1994? And then once you put that into perspective, it's like, oh, okay. Or like I had listened to Thrice's Illusion of Safety when I was like 17, and I was like, this is okay. Like I like that era of melodic hardcore because it only exists for a few years. There's like that Rise Against Revolution Per Minute, Strike Anywhere, Changes the Sound, where they don't really know. Those bands don't really know what they're going to become, and they become completely different things because a major label picks them up or they figure out their sound. But for a few years, every band's doing this like, are we metalcore? Are we post-hardcore? Are we punk? And then all of them figure it out. But like, yeah, I wasn't that impressed by it. And then I went back and listened to Thrice. And then the first time I listened to Artists in the Ambulance, I thought it was a good record. And now I think I listen to that once every 2 weeks. It's a good record. It's just... You sort of pick up on subtleties when you re-listen to something. I think the first time I listened to Jimmy World's Clarity, it was because I got a CD for it that was $2. And then it was Lucky Denverman was scratched, which sucks. But like, I remember first listen, I was like, this is pretty good. And then I had my first legitimate serious breakup. And then that album went from, this is pretty good to... Because I was such a punk kid growing up. I hated ballads. That was like a big turning point for me to listen to that Lush album that's pretty low tempo for the most part and like really emo, especially on the back half. Once you get to 10 and Just Watch the Fireworks, and For Me This Is Heaven, I mean, it gets really emo. It does.
It's just so wild that that's what they decided to like go with for their major label debut, which is
their major label debut was Static Prevails, and they were supposed to make a propaganda sounding record. They were supposed to be like a punk thing, and the label said, "What the fuck is this? Why do you sound like Sunny Day Real Estate?" And then they knew they were probably getting dropped, so they just wasted all of their money on that, saying the label's probably going to drop us. And then that album went in limbo for a year, and then finally got released.
Crazy.
That's the benefit of modern streaming now is that like you don't need a label. So if you want to do weird genre experiment stuff, you just put it out there.
Well, I guess that's a perfect time to bring up the album, right? Because you guys put it out yourself, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So, I do think that is one of the perks, right? Being able to, work with producers that aren't going to cost like $400,000 to record now. Like it's a lot.
No, and Adam is so good. He did the Clipboards record, and we knew that. And then we went to Tyler Floyd, who mastered Saturdays at Your Place. I think he did the Last Worst Party Ever, but he did a bunch of stuff, and his rates are good. When we were in Dear Heretic, we had Jay Moss of Defeater master our record. That's sick. I fucking love Defeater.
We did that, to be honest.
Yeah, that's sick. I love their record, but and the prices were affordable. They were really decent rates. And
now,
then
is that out of like Virginia, right?
I think so.
Okay, because I feel like I just heard that name. Like maybe God's Eyes worked with him recently. Like I feel like that name is sticking out to me.
We just played with Pulses from Virginia. Virginia, nice. A lot of data centers. Surprisingly, good music comes out of there. Good music comes out of every state.
Absolutely.
Did you see Say Anything in Long Island in the 2000s? They played a lot in New York in the 2000s.
So there was this venue. It was called the Downtown, and I know that Say Anything has definitely played there. I wasn't like a huge Say Anything fan, so I did not catch any of those shows. But my other co-host definitely probably has seen them before on Long Island.
Yeah. That's my favorite band of all time. For better or worse at this point.
It's very funny. We have parallels because our favorite bands, because like I'm a Rise Against that, our favorite bands are pretty integral bands to the 2000s that are often maligned in different fields, but yeah.
Have you seen them recently?
The last time I saw Say Anything was the 2020, I guess. I don't know if because Isn't Real Boy had 2 releases. So I don't know. I can't remember when they did the 20th anniversary. I think they did it in 2024. I saw them at the Royal Oak Music Theater, and it kind of fucking sucked. Mainly because the Royal Oak Music Theater fucking sucks.
Dude, I've been saying this. The audio in that venue is
the venue just sounds like shit. The venue sucks, but otherwise, like Max says, I've seen Say Anything like 7 times since 2014. Or maybe 8 times. I can't remember. I've seen a lot. And Max has never been very good live. He's usually had pretty good bandmates. And the last time I saw Say Anything, the band was actually really fucking good because it was like Max Bemis was singing, but then they had the original drummer of Say Anything, Kobe Linder. They had the original bass player, Alex Kent, and then they had fucking Brian Warren from Weatherbox and Fred Mascherano from Taking Back Sunday playing guitars and doing the other vocals. So like the rest of the band was just fucking awesome but the venue just sounded fucking terrible.
Dude, Royal Oak Music Theater, the only artist, and I've gone there since I was 16. First show I ever drove to, my mother got really mad because I didn't tell her. I went to go see Under Oath played They're Only Chasing Safety and Define the Great Line back to back when they came back. And it was fucked up because then I thought that people just waited outside 5 hours for every single show. Yeah, that's not true. But that was right when they were coming back, before they released other comeback records that aren't very good.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was the only show I've been there.
I was going to see Say Anything.
Yeah, that was the only time I've been at Royal Oak Music Theater, and it has sounded really good there. There's been a couple other bands and instances that I've seen there that have sounded pretty good. One of the crazy experiences of my life, and I wasn't in the pit, I was sitting in the back there, and it's like it's a theater, and so I'm standing there, and I think it was 2-ish years ago, Hot Mulligan was doing their holiday show, and they played Equipped Sunglasses, and the crowd was almost louder than the instruments, and that was the craziest thing I've ever experienced. Like, Like Tade started singing it, and the whole crowd.
I think I can hear it.
Crazy. It's crazy. Like hearing a crowd louder than the instruments. It's pretty rare. I mean, it's like maybe the middle gets that response, but yeah, I remember seeing that.
What a band, right? What a band that has truly just taken over the world, man. What a story
like,
too,
yeah.
right? Like I feel like pre-COVID they weren't as massive. Like they were starting to
Nope.
gain steam.
No, I can tell you because I went to their holiday show in 2019. It was in the Pike Room, which is a 250 cap venue, which they mostly sold out. Pandemic happened, and it benefited a lot of emo bands. People were sad, didn't really know what they were doing, and that mixture of emo and pop punk. I mean, because they're like this generation's the Wonder Years, right? Because they're more or less a pop punk band, but they talk about like sensibilities with the current generation and have grown up with their audience. But they just kept getting bigger. I remember when they came back after COVID and they had their holiday show at the end of 2021. I knew that this band was going to be way bigger than, well, honestly, as big as I anticipated because I saw them at Riot Fest and I had no clue who they were in 2019. And then I heard them play like Dairy and my eyes went wide. I was like, I have no clue who this is, but I have to check this out. So then I became like an avid fan. And then like when they came back, they played that first holiday show when, shows were still opening up. I vividly remember I'm standing there in the Crowfoot and I'm seeing this person and I don't know how else to describe them. It was a girl and like three of her friends and they were normies. They were in cowboy boots, like pretty decent dresses. I was like, they really shouldn't be here at this emo show. And I remember because Hot Mulligan, the holiday shows are basically fests. The girl says to her other friend, who is Free Throw? And I went, oh shit, this band's going to be big. And now Free Throw has gotten way bigger since then too. So she probably would know them now. They blew up from TikTok.
Yeah.
Which is sick, but like, yeah, it's crazy. I knew that they were going to be huge, but like to that extent, I love it. Just seeing them playing like Coachella, it doesn't feel real.
I feel like I knew that they were really taking off when they did that like they played at like a drive-in movie theater like in COVID.
Yeah.
And it was like so many people at that. And I was like,
I was going to go to it, but I just didn't. But yeah, that was such a sick idea.
Yeah. And when I saw how many people showed up for that, like in the middle of the pandemic, right? Like it was still lockdowns and things going on. And I was like, yeah, this is like way bigger of a band than I thought they were going to be.
Anytime we think that emo isn't going to cap out or that like, oh, this is its peak, it keeps kind of getting bigger. It keeps kind of getting bigger. As long as things keep being the way that they are societally, I don't see it stopping anytime soon.
No.
The good times vibes are not happening right now.
Yeah, plenty to write sad, emotional songs about. I love it.
Well, and they have this virality to them. Kids will just check out something because it has a meme song title. And that's never stopped, and it's never going to stop. That's like in emo's ethos, to be nerds and to reference dumb stuff that you like. They've been doing that since, I don't know, minus the bear. I've been doing that forever.
So it seems like you are like hyper aware about kind of names and song titles. Is that kind of what triggered you to start Tequila Mockingbird, like the name?
Oh, dude, I just did it as a solo project, and I didn't expect that I would have to deal with this name, and I just thought it was funny. I was like, haha, what if I named it this? And I thought I would have dropped this 2 years afterwards and would have done a different band name. But at this point, we're stuck with it. Billy Joe Armstrong has had to deal with the name Green Day for 35 years. 40 years.
Jeez.
That's pretty tough.
Yeah.
Imagine if Alkaline Trio had 4 members and they were still called Alkaline Trio for like 20 years. That's not the case, but like, could you imagine? That could have happened.
Yeah, touche.
There's a lot worse names.
Yeah.
We could be Michael Sarah Palin. That's a brutal band name. That's not a good.
Dude, I mess that name up all the time. All the time.
Kieffer, what's the worst band name? What's the worst band name? From like a popular
There's some
band.
really bad like rock band names around.
Hoobastank is up there, by the way. Hoobastank is up there.
Jonathan Hoob.
Jonathan Hoobastank.
There's some really bad there's one I don't know, some of them are just painfully generic. Like, I don't want to call anybody out, but there's some just really bad ones around Kalamazoo.
But yeah, I mean, Tequila Mockingbird's a little tough. because we're sharing the same space as like 50-year-old women's trivia teams, and that's fine because then the 50-year-olds get into us somehow. They like check out our name and they're like, I like this. It's very funny.
I don't even know if it's still a thing, but back in the day, there was like a band name generator website that you could just like have it like
sure
populate and it would just spit out
there was the
random words.
Wu-Tang Clan name
I was
generator.
using the Wu-Tang Clan name generator for real.
But wasn't that the rumor about Childish Gambino that he got his name from?
I don't even think that's a rumor. I think he confirmed that.
That's based.
I think that actually happened.
That's based. But
I watched an interview recently with the RZA where they were asking him about like members of the clan, whatever. They have like a different affiliates. He was asking them about different affiliates names, and like RZA was like, "Who the fuck is that guy?" Because there's like over like 3,000 listed affiliates. It was pretty funny.
That's pretty funny.
Damn.
I mean, look,
was pre-emo. I was listening to a lot of Wu-Tang Clan. Pre-emo, growing up as a kid, I listened to a lot of Wu-Tang Clan.
Did you watch that show? The biopic show they had of Wu-Tang on like Hulu or one of those.
Yeah, man. I also watched. There was like a Wu-Tang Clan cartoon at some point, like adult animated style cartoon.
I was gonna say adult animated makes sense, but like
it could very well be lost media by now, or it could be like a fever dream I had maybe. But I do remember watching that.
Can you imagine like a children's show, like a mystery show with the members of
like
the
ODB,
Wu-Tang?
like ODB as a cartoon.
ODB, Ghostface Killer.
Yeah.
My introduction to Wu-Tang Clan was really stupid because there was this game that came out for like the Xbox called Army of Two. And it was like a super cheesy 2-person co-op shooter, and it was like really, really bad, but the two main characters were obsessed with the Wu-Tang Clan. So, I don't know, I played that game when I was like, maybe like 11 or 12 or something, and then got really into Wu-Tang Clan because of it.
I'm trying to think of how my introduction to Wu-Tang would have been. It probably would have been finding out Outkast and Aquemini and then figuring out what else I wanted to listen to that sounded like that. And probably Wu-Tang would have made sense.
Potentially, there was also a Wu-Tang Clan song in Skate 2 or Skate 3. I can't remember.
Totally. There had to have been.
Or maybe there was just ODB. I think
there's no way one of them was not
an ODB song in Skate 3. I think there's an ODB song in Skate 3.
There's no way one of them was not in a Skate soundtrack. That doesn't make sense, especially now with like modern Skate soundtrack.
I know there was Mobb Deep in Skate 3.
That's sick. That's sick.
I love the fact that you mentioned how like a video game introduced you to music because, you know, when we were a hockey podcast, the amount of guests that we've had on here who were introduced to like emo adjacent and punk music because of the NHL soundtracks, like blows my mind.
Yeah.
I think the first time I ever heard screaming in a band in my life that wasn't a classic rock band was probably playing Madden NFL 2009 hearing Desperate Times, Desperate Measure by Under Oath and not knowing what the fuck I was listening to. And like, then I was playing the Guitar Hero games and like, God, I wish those were still there to the extent that they were. Because, man, they were really good. And I didn't even realize it half of the way through. I would like go through my album listening journey and I would listen to like Guitar Hero World Tour had El Velasquez by the Mars Volta in there. And it had One Arm Scissor in there. And it had Obstacle 1 by Interpol in there. And so many incredible songs from the 2000s. And you don't even realize it. And then you go back and you look and you go, I heard Helicopter by Block Party when I was 8 years old. Oh, that song's fucking sick. And especially the sports game soundtracks, they were going crazy. MX vs. ATV had like Dinosaurs Will Die by NoFX, House of Wolves by My Chemical Romance, Social Suicide by Bad Religion, and then like a bunch of other shit. And you'd go, whoa, this is a crazy list of songs.
But what also is crazy is like it's going to be very delayed before these bands even realize the impact. So like think about it. There might be an 8-year-old right now or 10-year-old right now playing one of the video games that has a pretty current song, but they're too young to really do like any digging to figure out. And then when they're, 20, 30, they're like, yeah, like I'm a huge fan of this band now. And like, it won't come out until later when they're like a real person to be able to show their fandom.
I think a gigantic
Put pool kids back in Fortnite. Put pool kids back in Fortnite.
Oh yeah, Fortnite's the big deal right now. But I think a big reason why the Fall of Troy FCP remix is now a genre-defining classic for emo and post-hardcore was because it was in Guitar Hero 3 and it was really fun to play. And generations of people listened to and enjoyed and had fun with that song. And now as time has gone on, I genuinely think that is like, if you ask somebody under the age of 35 years old what the most like iconic delay riff is, they won't even say The Edge. They'll say like anything by U2. They'll say fucking the FCP remix. I swear, you ask somebody under the age of 35, they'll probably say that one because like it's such an iconic riff, that intro. You watch videos of like guitar YouTubers today, and they're like, you get a DD8. What's the first thing I'm going to do? Dotted eighth notes, figure out how to play that song. Like it's crazy. And it's bridged the generational gap. Because the Fall of Troy was noodly enough, I think, to bridge that gap. People like noodles. People like guitars a little bit. People like when guitars do crazy stuff. Mostly vocals, but like if guitars do crazy stuff, people lose their. So yeah, makes sense. The Fall of Troy is crazy guitar wise, but like yeah.
So they're having a moment right now. I didn't even know that. Like they're cool with like Gen Z and whatnot.
The kids like them. Yeah, the kids still like the Fall of Troy.
That's sweet.
I that's sweet too. I didn't know that. Like I played that riff today. I just brought my acoustic in because it was funny, and then I was playing the chords to that, and someone like jolted their head back and looked at me, and they still had the scene hair. So it's very funny, but it's like, oh, does this one bridge the generational gap of all things? No,
amen.
And it's always so weird because it's like a riff that's iconic will last forever and get people into your band. I think the Strokes will be popular forever based off of people just listening to Reptilia. I really do. I think that's just like something that they'll listen to. I'm hoping the kids will figure out Block Party because like that dance punk stuff. Like Kieffer and I were big on Two Door Cinema Club and that first record. That dance punk style of indie, when it's done right, oh my gosh, it's like it doesn't get better. I know that Two Door Cinema Club is doing that like 15-year anniversary.
So does like Joywave fall in that category? Like that's like out of my wheelhouse. Would you consider Joywave that?
Maybe, yeah. I'm not an indie guy much.
Okay.
If it isn't up tempo indie, I don't really care about it much. I'll be real. It's either that or like you got to be really good indie.
Touche. Now I did see that you guys are in the middle of a pretty busy May, and yeah, like you have I believe shows like this weekend, right?
Yeah, we have a show tomorrow.
We have a show tomorrow night at the Glow Hall in Kalamazoo.
So can we say something funny? When is this releasing?
It'll be out on Tuesday, so we'll miss plugging that show.
We can say something funny. Gabe from Saturdays at Your Place is filming it for us.
Oh,
it's like an honor. I can't lie. Yeah, Kieffer and their significant other are friends, like close. I don't know. I wouldn't say close? Question mark.
Brother
or friends.
That's what I thought.
You're in their house, right? That's what I thought. Yeah, I was gonna say. I don't mean to speak on your behalf, but pretty close.
Izzy is roommates with them.
Oh, is that the famous screen printing house? They got the screen printer going.
Yes, I'm like not directly above. Are we directly above the screen printer right now? We're like directly above it, right? No, it's more over that way. No,
this is normal for Kieffer. This freaks me out.
It's whatever.
It's like the coolest thing. They're like a nationally touring. They're like a nationally touring band. And when we figured out we were playing the Kalamazoo date, our goal is to try and get a local drummer. And Kieffer sent me a very funny text, and they said, "Let's see what Gabe's doing." And I just chuckled. And then I was like, "Yeah, sure. Let's see what Gabe's doing." Half hour later, Gabe's playing with us, and this is so sick.
That is so sick. Hell yeah!
They tour 100 to 200 days out of the year, and they're taking their time to learn some songs.
And they got that like middle-aged mom that practiced the drums playing their song.
Jackie Valco, I love you, Jackie. She's the go. No, Gabe's a homie. So we're practicing tomorrow before the gig. It'll be fun.
Yeah, I love his energy live. He's one of my favorite modern drummers that's not even a bit.
Yeah, he's really, awesome. Really good. It's gonna be really cool to play with like professional drummer. Like that's his job, is to just do that all the time. So that's gonna be like probably kind of a humbling experience for us, I'm imagining.
I would hope so. But I even still his
That'd be
style is
cool.
so unique, and the way that he performs too, he like shows his face a lot, which I love when drummers do that.
And he sings.
And the
That's
fact
so
that
freaking
he
awesome.
sings,
Yeah, that's so cool.
Yeah.
it's like,
Yeah. And I
man,
think part of the reason he comes through for us is because we go way back in the church days. Like there's a pretty pivotal house venue to be honest, maybe emo as a whole at this point, because a lot of bands came through there.
it,
But the Church of Elvis
yeah,
Presley in Lansing, and Tequila and Dear Heretic and Tournament and like all
final
of our
boss
different
fight,
bands, we
yeah.
all played with Saturdays at Your Place. Um, at some point, we've known them a long while, and then Saturdays played my house, the Goblin Zone, pretty early on.
That is
So
integral to emo history.
yeah.
Yeah, that they don't want to admit that, but it's integral to emo history. The biggest Harrison Gordon TikTok ever from Kirby Down B is in their garage, and I'm freaking the fuck out in the front row. So yeah, it's integral to emo history. That's not an understatement. Their
I
final
made some
show,
really cool shows happen. I had some really cool shows on my
their
house.
final show had like Tiny Voices, Kerosene Heights, Palette Knife, like the list of bands that are unironically up and coming or writing albums that people will look back on a decade from now. That just casually played it, and it's
like the Thursday House, right? Like the Thursday House is historic. Same thing.
yeah,
Yeah.
kind of.
No, 1,000%.
much.
And like the shows that were going on there turned out to be My Chemical Romance, Thursday, Saves the Day, like all happened at the Thursday
Alexis
House.
on Fire would come through, and then like it's crazy to look
My
at the CD
favorite
linings.
my favorite live video of The Assistant is from the Thursday House.
Yeah. So, but like it happens every generation. There's one of those houses somewhere in the country that's doing it. And then you look back and you're like, I can't believe those bands played there. Like, that's so sick.
I
Well,
had a few of those bills at my house where it was like genuinely looking back and I was like, oh my God, like how did I put that together? Like there are some crazy crossover bills that I make. I would like one of my specialties was to find two tours going on at the same time and stack them on top of each other. So I'd have some of the craziest 5 band bills you'd like ever see come through. It was really fun. It was a good time.
it's like an institution, like Harrison Gordon, Saturday's Your Place, Riley, like all these bands that played there, and they weren't Leisure Hour. Leisure Hour is having a moment. Leisure Hour played there multiple times, and maybe and it's just like Amway, excuse me, or you fantastic. A lot of the Wisconsin bands, Tiny Voices, like we said, Palette Knife, but like it's like they would come through and then they would have an incredible show and we'd all hug and go on their way. But it's like it's instilling a good culture, people who just want to go see bands. And then we'll listen to the music prior. That's like the cool thing is that you don't have to buy a CD to figure out, hey, what does this band actually sound like? Maybe they'd listen to them prior, and then a couple would, and then Sheen was another one too.
Sheen did play my house.
You
Thank
see them,
God.
yeah, you see them, and then a lot of people it would click, and they see somebody live for the first time and they're really good, and then they go, all right, I'm gonna go home and listen to them, and then they become fans of that band since. It's like such a cool moment, and like Michigan, Lansing is a little out of the way, but like Michigan's a pretty decent hub for like East Coast Midwest touring.
Oh yeah, definitely. Especially because you could cut into Canada too and get even some of the Canadian bands.
We haven't had many Canadian bands really because it's well, you know what's weird? The border isn't that. The customs aren't that mean to it. It's just that Toronto is 3 hours out from the border. So unless they're like a band from Windsor specifically, it's kind of tough. You can walk and take a bus from Detroit and go to Windsor. You can do that. You're allowed to. You're allowed to go to Canada. A lot of people do that when they turn 18 so that they can drink in Canada and then come back. I knew multiple friends who did that.
Yeah, I guess like Toronto does have like a moment right now with producing a lot of bands. However, back in the day, that specific area you're talking about, that's where like Alexis on Fire came from. Boys Night Out came from. That like is not Silverstein. That's not too far from Michigan.
Arm's Length is from that. They're from Hamilton, Ontario. I don't know where Hamilton is, but them and Counterparts, who's like not like a metalcore band, but like Counterparts is sick.
Yeah, for sure.
It's still there. I wish we could foster that connection a little bit because like it'd be cool to have a Canadian band.
Yeah, definitely.
I don't know if I really want them coming into our country right now. Not as in like a xenophobic way, as in like for your safety. I don't think this is the right time to come to America.
Yeah.
If I didn't live here, I would not recommend.
And it's way easier for you guys to go there versus Canadian bands coming here. Like the whole customs thing, and like you would have to definitely smuggle gear and smuggle merch from Canada to come here.
Yeah, and the weird thing is that like this is another thing about Michigan culture. We're very pro weed, like more pro weed than most places. Like, well, you kind of can just smoke it in public and not really have like an issue ever, which is just not normal.
Mm-hmm.
It's just I don't know. Michigan's it's a weird state. It's a state that you don't think is the Midwest, but like 80% of our state is just farmland and nothing, and it's just a bunch of big cities. But like the culture is like so laid back on that. There's a lot of income disparity. There's a lot of places where like there are whole lots or like plazas that don't have anything. This has like pizza chain, might be a Little Caesars, might be something else.
Shout out Little C's.
Smoke shop, shout out Little C's. A smoke shop. That might be it. Maybe a liquor store, but yeah, we're very pro weed, and it's still relatively cheap here, like really cheap here.
Mm-hmm.
Every single band, every time I've seen Sweet Pill, Zaina from Sweet Pill will literally get on the mic and say your weed is really cheap here. Very funny. A lot of bands do that. It's not just Sweet Pill. It's like a thing. I don't know. Culturally, we're very pro weed. Is that right, Kieffer?
Wouldn't know anything about that.
What do you mean? What are you talking about?
I've never smoked a weed in my life. Never.
When did you ever take a bong rip right before we played at like your house, like right on stage? I know you
believe,
have. But
numerous
you had to have
times.
once.
I
You
believe
had to have
numerous.
once, right?
No, I believe numerous times I took a bong rip on stage during a set.
Yes. Yeah.
I believe
that
at
one.
least once during tournament because there was the bong rips with Lester's line.
Yes.
I believe at least once I mic'd up a bong with an SM58 and I took a bong rip into an SM58.
That's kind of like, do you know Algernon where they had the coffee pot and they put the
I do know about the coffee pot. Yeah. I do believe many times I've smoked joints on stage during Tequila Mockingbird sets at my house. There was actually numerous times I would light a joint right as we were starting our set, and I'd have like 3 of the guys, like it'd be like fucking like Owen and someone from one of the bands, like fucking Dylan from Garden Home or something, and one other guy, and they'd all just be passing the joint around. Whenever I need to hit, I take one. Like,
sorry, I just remembered the milk bong. So
the milk bong incident, yeah. Tiny Voices.
So Tiny Voices
bong to 420.
And there's a song that they have called Milk Bong where somebody did put the milk in the bong and gave it to the singer to try it. And Ben has told me that was one of the grossest experiences of his life. I can't imagine it was good.
No,
I cannot imagine it was good. I know it probably didn't curdle, but there's no way that was good. But yeah,
that was cottage cheese by the end of that rip.
Oh my god, oh my god. I forgot about that, and then I remembered it when we were talking about it. That's one of the funniest stories.
Yeah, that's gross.
Actually, one of my favorite pictures to come from the Goblin Zone is the one of
and he's in distress. He's like,
oh my gosh. The picture of Vinny from Moose Creek Park where Vinny's like handing the joint to the camera. That one's really good.
That one's really good too. Yeah.
Shout out Moose Creek Park, Long Island band
really
right there.
Good.
Long Island.
Yep.
Oolong. We love Oolong.
Yep.
Oolong's good. Dude, Oolong is a fucking crazy band.
Yeah, Long Island
can I be for real? I've never seen almost like improv, like jazz level improv for Midwest emo, the way that they handle it. Like, they don't write sets. It seems like they don't like Vinny doesn't even know what he's doing midway through some of the songs. They just have like these extended jam breaks, and then they get back to the part that you recognize, and you're like, right, it's this part.
I think that's the cool thing about Midwest emo right now is that it's so many different branches. There's not just It's so cool, like the spins that bands are taking on it.
I think it's very much like how post-hardcore was in the 2000s, where you can see the influences that other bands have. You can see them pretty directly. You can tell if an emo band is directly influenced by other emo bands. You can tell if they're influenced by math rock. You can tell if they're influenced by pop, like Pool Kids.
Mm-hmm.
You can tell if they're influenced by pop punk, there's a lot of that. But like if they're influenced by pop punk, you can tell if they're influenced by post-hardcore. Like you can literally hear it. You can almost hear like the different tinges and the influences if you listen to enough of other genres, other guitar music. It it's all there. And sure, it's under the umbrella of emo, but like it's this broad array of bands. Like when you listen to Kerosene Heights, you can kind of tell that they like that screamo stuff. They like the grittier style of music because the guitar tones are so gross, really.
Mm-hmm.
And there's like this grimy level of production on it that usually other bands in the scene don't do. So you hear that and you go, oh, okay. And then you see one of their posts and they will like post like "Workin'" as their song. And it's like, oh yeah, that makes sense. And you'll hear that with like every band, really. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You'll hear the ones that you can tell they're just influenced by other emo bands, which is cool. I mean, we're at that point, right? Midwest emo's been around for 20, 30 years. So yeah, they're going to be influenced by other bands. But you can tell when like a band is super influenced by like second wave, or if a band is influenced by post-hardcore, or if like they call themselves emo, but they're not really even an emo band and they're influenced by like Motion City Soundtrack. You know what I mean? Like it's a lot of different influences in modern emo.
Or
Like whenever I listen to even like Hot Mulligan, I'm always like, yeah, those guys like the Wonder Years.
or you could be like Ben Quad and just like literally be a different band every record.
Yeah, really, really. This last one, it was like an emo pop record, but you can still hear like traces of like glitchy stuff. Or like Riley straight up, you can hear like a little bit of Glockamora influence, which is a little tough. It's hard to get that, but they scream and they have that like standard power chord type of deal that a lot of bands don't have. Palette Knife, there's a lot of transitional chords that you can tell that like Alec listens to like Japanese math rock. You can tell, like you can hear some of those chords and you're like, oh, that's a Trico chord. you listen to it and you go, oh, that's a chord from Toe. You know what I mean? And you go, oh, hell yeah. That's the cool part about emo right now, is that it feels like a lot of what post-hardcore was in the 2000s, where it's like, here's your canvas, paint it the way that you want it to.
Mm-hmm.
And while there are bands that will copy each other, that's going to happen. You get the chance of having a band like a Thursday that's truly one of one. You go,
Mm-hmm.
no one sounds like this. And whenever you think you haven't found, or you're done with it, you're like, I think I've figured out everything. You listen to a band like Lobster Fight, you can hear their influence from like Brave Little Abacus, and they throw you for a loop because you're like, oh my goodness, what are you listening to sound like this? And then you find out that they're like a local band that only plays like 20 people, and it bums you out.
Yeah, well,
But
that's kind of the thing, though, right? Like American
Yeah.
football, like until they went away, was playing shows like that.
Fourth wave bands, people don't understand this. The scope that a lot of those fourth wave bands had, if we look back on them, and there are some that obviously toured quite a bit, but like a good bit of them, not as big as you'd think. We're good friends with Keith from Empire. He's in Mount Oriander now, but like they weren't playing to 200 people a night. And they're like like a super important fourth wave band in my mind. Or like Snowing probably only played like 15 shows out of their home state. Or like even Marietta. Marietta wasn't huge. Most of the live videos in Marietta, they're playing basements. They weren't that big. And yeah, of course, there's like your modern baseballs, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, those bands were big. Your Title Fights and your Hoteliers. They were playing relatively bigger shows, but like most of them, like Captain We're Sinking wasn't playing to 300 people a night, and that album still holds up. And if they do reunion shows, they probably do play to 300 people, or and it always depends. It's based on the band, but like I think people forget that like the fourth wave stuff, we hold it in reverence now. It wasn't always the case, especially some of those bands. Like I can't imagine Brave Little Abacus ever played to more than 100 people. And they wrote two pretty integral records. Brave Little Abacus, the second record, Just Got Back from Discomfort. That's on the Rate Your Music top 100 records of all time. That's on their top 100 right now. It's the only emo record out there. And it basically fills the same role that At the Drive-In's Relationship with Command did. But like, there's no way that Brave Little Abacus played to like more than 200 people ever at a single show. And now thousands of kids are probably listening to them and getting their fix of like heady, intelligent emo from that. You know what I mean? It's weird to think about how things change as time goes on. And American football is a perfect example of that. They were just a local band, became the biggest band ever.
Yeah. Dude, it's not even emo related, but there's this documentary from probably like 15, 20 years ago called Finding Sugarman.
Okay.
Where it was like a jazz musician or like an indie folk musician in the 60s, maybe 70s, and like didn't really have any success here in the United States, and like actually became homeless and like had really tough times. Turns out he's like the Michael Jackson of South Africa and did not know it. Like huge. And like these people think he's an icon and they don't know anything about him. And he's like just like the poster child for a revolution and everything. And this guy's literally here in the United States struggling, not even realizing that he's having this effect on people across the country, across the world.
Well, it's like how Black Flag is one of the most integral punk bands of all time. And Black Flag stopped because they were so fucking broke they couldn't tour anymore. They would go to Mexican restaurants, eat the free chips and salsa, steal leftovers from the families that just left the restaurant and would dine and dash. That was a regular thing they did. That was how they had sustenance on tour. They had no money. And people regard them as one of the most important bands of the 80s, rightfully so, to what punk became. But like, I think people mythologize this stuff and don't understand that the actuality of it is that it was a lot less cool than you might have thought. But then the funny thing is like, you see videos of Senses Fail when they're starting off, and from Depths of Dreams, the only thing they had out, and they're playing 187 in a VFW hall, and there's 300 kids there.
That was the peak. Like that was the peak of like the mall core, like you mentioned. Like,
when that scene core stuff was taking off, especially Silverstein, and you learn about them doing Discovering the Waterfront and all that. There was no reason that when they signed to that major label on Snakes and Airplanes, they've had a very negative thoughts on that and been like, oh, we shot ourselves in the foot there. But there was no reason at the time for you to not think that that would be literally the next biggest sound in popular music. Like, there was a reason major labels were investing because they genuinely were like, this could be the next grunge. Because at the time, you look at those videos, it's 300 to 500 people in a random VFW hall. That's the crazy thing, is that sometimes you see the scope of like certain emo bands and you go, oh, these bands are tiny. They're playing the same things that we did. Like At the Drive-In playing a bowling alley or a classroom, or a Knapsack playing a classroom. And then you look at some videos and you're like, wow, that is a band that's been around for 6 months playing to 300 people in a VFW hall. Certain screamo bands are kind of doing that right now. I see like videos of like February, and they're playing like 200 people, and it's like crazy to me. It's like they're packing that shit out. It's crazy. It's like, I think we look at monthly listeners and we're just like, oh, that's the scope that they've always been there.
No. Yeah, and honestly, there's even some of those bands that died off and had really dark years where they couldn't draw anyone, and then
Thursday.
There's
a
like
great example of that.
Yellow Card as well. Like the scene kind of left them, and then COVID happened, and they came back, and now they're playing bigger shows than they ever played.
Kids love Thursday now because they found out about all those tunes, and they like My Chemical Romance, and now they're figuring out Thursday. And it's hard because you look at like the interviews about them talking about like the eras in the mid to late 2000s, and they were like, we hated this, because they would open for like Bring Me the Horizon, and the crowd would chant slurs at them. You know what I mean? Like, and once again, I mean, we mentioned it earlier, the beginning of post-hardcore in the early 2000s to the end, the culture changes very quickly. But it's like, some of these bands, we all think that they were held in reverence forever. Jimmy Eat World was going to quit after Integrity Blues. That was supposed to be their last record. And now they're respected and beloved, but that's not always the case. I don't know how many years have gone by. I don't know what the perception of Sunny Day Real Estate was for most people, and now they're a beloved band. Or like the Get Up Kids. I don't know what the perception of them is, but everyone now knows the Get Up Kids is the band that wrote Something to Write Home About. How can you not like that record, But just depends on the band.
Yeah. And sometimes it doesn't take off right away, and it is what it is. But now I do want to just bring this back to your busy May and summer, just to give you guys a chance to plug away. I know you recently played Stoop Fest. I'd love to hear about that, because I just love these DIY emo festivals, Pug Fest and Excellency and Stoop Fest. Like,
Kieffer,
I love that.
Kieffer, wake up. Please, please. Talk about Stoop. Please.
Rising from the dead. Love it.
Kieffer, can you talk about Stoop? I gotta I gotta grab a water. The floor is yours. Talk about Stoop for a bit. I'll be back. Look at him stretch. Look at him get up.
We be stooping.
Oh my God. Well, first off, I just want to make this clear. Stoop is like one of my favorite festivals. It's like a South by Southwest, but it's like local. You just walk to the venues.
That's what I saw. Yeah, that's awesome.
Backyards. It's like the coolest. It's like the coolest. I'll let Keith explain it more in detail, but like if you can make the trip, it is one of the most fun, enjoyable community events you could possibly have. We like a sec.
Yeah, I mean, Stoop is good. We just this year was year 9, so we started in 2016, and then we had to take a gap year in 2020 for COVID, so 2027 will be year 10. So, kind of everything builds up to everything else, but everything has especially been building up to year 10, which is gonna be like, I don't even know how to prepare for it, because this year we sold out for the first time ever, and Stoopfest was an entirely outdoor-based festival, so to sell it out was kind of like only done out of security and safety concerns for some of the house venues that we have as stages. So year 10 is like, a special anniversary type year, probably even more likely to sell out. So it's been growing rapidly to the point where now, through our research and as far as we can tell, it is like by ticket sales and also monetarily the amount of production, whatever, we think it's the largest DIY volunteer-based nonprofit music festival in America, maybe in the world. Just based on the scale of it now. It's hard to know that necessarily because not everybody is fully transparent with the way their festivals are ran or the way the finances are managed, whatever. Stoopfest, we are particularly transparent about it, and we're actually talking about maybe doing a full finance disclosure of how the festival ran and operated this year and stuff. In lieu with what some other bands, like I saw or with other festivals, like I saw Los Campesinos recently did this whole tour rundown, here's our full expenses thing. So kind of in line with that, just because, we are DIY and fully volunteer based. Nobody has ever taken any money from the festival other than in payment for some of the bands that the organizers play. But even then, most of us as the individuals don't take any of the money. We take it to pay our band members other than us, but it was pretty crazy this year. This year was pretty freaking crazy. The Tequila Mockingbird set, we probably played to like 300 people at Allen Neighborhood Center, which was the same stage that like Jer and Open Mike Eagle played the next day. So that was pretty cool.
It's like insane because it's not just like one genre. It is a folk punk institution, to be clear. I remember I was just walking for some reason because one of the vendors had like something for artists, and I was walking through there, and it was on the main stage, and I heard a somewhat similar voice, and I went, "Is that fucking Pat the Bunny?" Like the folk punk cryptid, like the guy who is basically impossible to hear about or find or know that exists. And it was one of his current bands. But like that'll happen, and it's like a folk punk institution. Like there's a good bit of that there. And then you'll go to a random backyard and you'll see a band called Battle Mode, which is an almost entirely chiptune flavored emo act. And then you'll go and you'll hear Devin K and the Solutions, and you'll hear ska, and then you'll hear this and you'll hear that. And it's like Pink Shift played, and they're like a new metal band, really. Is that the proper way to describe them, Kieffer? Is that fair to say that Pink Shift's a new metal band? or like a modern new metal
I
band.
I don't know. I think they're just kind of
I
like a
don't know.
heavy pop punk band.
You get what I'm saying? Like, I don't know. There's so much. There's so much, and it's like you just walk around.
Well,
If you
that's a
don't know who
beautiful thing.
you want to see,
Is I saw
if you
that
don't know who
there's
you want to
so
see,
many like houses and outdoor stages. Like it sounds similar to like kind of what Fest has done, but
yes, yeah, absolutely.
yeah,
Mhm.
but more in like the DIY emo space. But how many venues or houses did you end up having this year?
This year there were 9 total venues during the day. So Friday there's just 2 venues but 3 stages. So we have like the Hunter Park main stage where there we'll have a rented out main stage, pretty standard to a festival. But then we have this gazebo that's like a floor stage, and we do more intimate settings in there. Like on Saturday, I think we had local news legend played. Was that who played? Who
Yes,
played the? Or I mean, Friday, local news legend played Julia's stage, right, babe? Uh, were they main stage? I can't remember. But we usually have like I remember Saturday, like the big thing was in Julia's gazebo. We had Christian Holden from the Hotelier do a solo set in there. And then we have like the ANC stage, which is a community center. Um, and then we had on Saturday we had 3 house venues, which we do like one of them's more just like a stage built in the yard, but the other 2 are just like on like their back porches, like on their stoops, literally on their stoops. Um, and then we have a couple bars for the after shows, the Avenue and the Green Door. The Avenue is a particularly special venue to me, but we've grown a lot. I think when we started in 2016, it was just 6 house venues, just 6 houses, and they're a little bit more spread out. But now, I don't know. We're talking about expanding in 2027 and adding one more stage. Um, Potentially. But we're also talking about eliminating another stage, so it might be a net zero type situation. We do a lot. There's a lot going on with Steve Fest. It's all very walkable though. The furthest walk from one venue to another is 0.75 miles.
yeah,
So
they've gotten that down to science because the first year I was there, that's not the case. That's not what it was. But they figured it out, and it's extremely walkable. I think there's one light between that 7.5 miles, so really you can just walk from one place to the other one, and yeah, crazy stuff happens
Now,
because when 100 live bands are playing out of nowhere, you are hearing "Undone the Sweater Song" mixed with "Waiting Room" by Fugazi. And it's ska, and I'm losing my mind. I'm like, what is happening? And then they did a cover of "No Children" by the Mountain Guts and as ska, but that was sick. Like that was sick. That make in my mind actually that kind of makes sense. Very Real Big Fish coded those lyrics. Yeah, that could work. But like you just see stuff like that, and you're like, I don't even know what's going on. And then there's like local vendors for food, and
no, it sounds
yeah,
awesome.
it is.
And like, has it gotten to the point where you have like actually the city of Kalamazoo bought in, like the actual like mayor and stuff involved? Like, I would imagine to have something like this go on.
well, Lansing.
Oh, sorry, Lansing.
But yeah, no, you're fine. But yeah, we have to have a meeting every year with the mayor. And a couple other city officials. We have to have a meeting with them in the park to discuss and let them know our plans for the year and everything. And
And they're
yep,
cool about
there's
it.
a lot that goes on with it. We have a parade now. We have a parade for the festival that starts in the morning that leads from the furthest venue to the main stage. And that has grown quite a bit. There's like over like 150 attendees for the parade this year. Like people like marching in the parade. That was like pretty crazy to have.
That's awesome. Yeah, that's so cool.
Yeah, it's crazy because the bands also buy into the culture. A lot of the bands, they're just there and they walk around and see some of their friends, and
Hmm.
just yeah, it's like summer camp. When you play these big festivals and you see your friends show up, unironically, it's like summer camp. You're just like, oh, I haven't seen you in a year and a half. How's it going? And then it's just like it's crazy. The scope that it's gotten at in the past few years, it's been
That,
incredible, and it's a lot of hard work from a lot of people who are otherwise community members or musicians or other people within the scene. So it's like it's very human. That's the way I would describe the fest. It's very human.
now, have
Like
you?
when I saw the hotelier and Christian Holden, what's funny? he forgot the chords to introduction to the album because he's the bassist, right? He probably hasn't played the song on the acoustic in years, and he literally looked at his wife and said, "My wife's probably mad at me because I should have practiced, but she told me to practice and I did."
That's great.
And it's like so human, like everything about it. Like you can make mistakes and people will still love your set because it's just like
Ha-
the genuine DIY camaraderie around it.
have you ever
The
thought?
tickets are extremely affordable too.
Yeah.
It's like straight up really affordable.
Have you thought about bringing it to different states?
No,
No.
because
I don't think they can.
Soupfest whole thing is that it's a Lansing festival and it's about serving the community of Lansing. All of the vendors we bring in are Lansing-based artists or Lansing-based, vendors and artists and food vendors and whatever. And we try to bring in, as many Lansing bands to play as we possibly can and Lansing musicians and artists and things. And so it's deeply integral to Lansing's, identity and, specifically the East Side neighborhood where it takes place. So we'd never like do Stoop Fest anywhere else, but we do Stoop Fest Presents, which is like off series shows. And maybe someday in the future, if Stoop Fest continues to grow and grow and grow, we may do like Stoop Fest Presents outside of Michigan, like a Stoop Fest Presents in Chicago potentially, because Stoop Fest has a lot of crossover with Riot Fest every year and a lot of crossover. We may do like a Stoop Fest Presents in Montreal because Stoop Fest teams up with Pooza, the Montreal festival every year, and we share a lot of bands. So that may be something down the line to happen potentially, but Stoop Fest itself will always happen in the east side of Lansing, first to second weekend of May, depending on what the weather looks like.
Okay, that's so cool. Yeah, like I said, I love these DIY festivals that I don't even know if I really was too aware of until like maybe 5 or 6 years ago. Like I didn't know how many there were, and it's a thankless job, like I mentioned, and
Yes.
I'm sure the people in your community really appreciate you guys putting this on because yeah, it's a lot of work for sure. And at the end of the day, like you're on the line. If the ticket sales don't go great or whatever, like you got so many people that you got to take care of at the end of the day, and it can be stressful because
it is an unenviable position. We're selling out. I was gonna say it is an unenviable position to be in, but then Connor is now I think he's tuner manager for a lot of pretty decent sized emo bands now. He used to run or still does ran Coachella, and literally one of the days of that festival wasn't there the last time that they ran because he was there. The birth of his son was happening. That's the level of dedication that these people put into these DIY fests to just give bands a stage to feel like they're welcome in times where it feels like a lot of times art is under attack if you're online. But a lot of times it's very fair to feel that art is under attack or there's no real love or there's no passion anymore in the world. It exists. There's a lot of people who are digging that out. But like Coachella, George Fest seems to be another one on the rise recently.
I love that name. I gotta look that one.
Yeah, it is pretty good. It is pretty good.
That's a good one.
But a lot of these fests, and a lot of them pop up and they start off and they're okay, and then you get 3 or 4 years later, and then they become institutions for genres or for scenes, and that's all literally a labor of love, circumstance. People just want to support live music still, and for a lot of people, think about it this way: fest, you can see 7 to 10 bands that you want to see for $50, or you could spend $20 to go see 7 to 10 bands individually over the course of 3 months. It's not a lot of people look at that immediate cost and they go, "I'll pay the $50 and see all these bands that I wanted to see." And then for bands, it's like heaven sent because you get guaranteed pull. You get a guaranteed amount of people that are probably going to come out to that show purely because you're like, oh, that band's playing, that band's playing, that band's playing. Well, we can book a whole tour around this. And being able to have a guaranteed floor for people to show up, it helps a lot. Like transparency wise, our run of shows that we did with a band called Robot Pumpkin, we wouldn't have done it otherwise if we weren't on Excellency, not this year, but the previous year. If we weren't on that, we wouldn't have done it. I think 90% of the funds we made on that tour or a good bit of them, 90% of the merch funds we made in that tour were excellent. It's having that floor and having that like level of like, hey, if we play a good fest, we can go out and tour. It helps a lot of bands because touring is a tough. It's tough. It's like a chicken before the egg thing, right? Like either like a not cart and horse, chicken before the egg, because it's like, so do we tour when we have a significant amount of fans to guarantee that we hit this floor, or do we tour to make sure that we get this significant amount of fans and we're going to be playing and having our daily revenue based upon really what venue we're playing that night and what locals show up and what their turnout is, which is the reality of a lot of bands. And it's not just like us. It's like if you're under 50,000 monthly listeners, you have less than 1,000 people listening to your band per state in every single state in the United States. You have less than 1,000 fans per state, in theory. And they're not all living in the same spot in the States. And look, it's not that's not technically how it is. They're dispersed the same way, but like the difference between a local band and a band with 15K, 20K monthlies is basically non-existent. It's a couple of hardcore fans every single state. So your floor, I mean, there's this tweet from our friends and Thanks I Hate It, where the bands at the venue that they played made $1 collectively because the venue took however many out of what they needed. And so they had $1 left over, like touring stuff.
Yeah.
So to have that,
and it always has
floor,
been. It's been tough for forever.
Yes.
Like we talked to this band Sydney from Canada, and they shared this very real story where they sold 2 pre-sales. They play their set, and those 2 people went to the promoter and asked for their refund. And it was just like, fuck. yeah. It's like, damn, like this is real.
Shit, are we gonna have that moment on our summer tour, Kieffer? Yeah, I don't know. We're excited to be able to finally, hopefully, be hitting the road in the summer. We can really, it's in theory. Don't know how long it is. Can't say it. Everything else, but in theory, yeah, it should be a good time. And long time coming. Hopefully, we hit some cool spots and make new friends. Really, that's what you do. You go into tour expecting that it's like an extended vacation and that you're having fun, not like, hey, we're gonna make our money back on this.
Well,
that's a little.
If you guys make your way to Charlotte, you got to play the Milestone. It's a freaking historic venue. Okay. It's so cool.
All right, I'm writing it down.
Yeah, it's called the Milestone. They're awesome. And there's a really cool DIY scene here. You know, not big like household names yet, but some are on the rise.
Well, that's what happens. It pops up and it bubbles up for like a year or 2.
Yeah, I feel it right now, and it's hard for me to really put my finger on it too much because I'm not going to as many shows as I used to because I'm 39 with 2 kids, like I said, so it's hard, but it feels like there's something brewing.
It's hard because like you never know when the regional scene's gonna pop off. Like I don't think most people would have guessed Oklahoma would have been a big export for Fifth Wave emo. Red Sun, rest in peace, Cliff Diver, soon ending, but Cliff Diver, Ben Quad, Morris Village, King Pink, Sunfo, like. You wouldn't have thought it was a hotbed, but it is,
Yeah.
You wouldn't think that Lansing, Michigan, or the Michigan in general is a hotbed. Most people wouldn't associate Michigan with big emo names, but hey, we're kicking it. We're kicking it right now. Or like Wisconsin. I would have never guessed that all these bands in Wisconsin are pumping out Gems, Garden Home, M-Way, Tiny Voices. I don't know. I haven't heard the Enswell record, but I guarantee Enswell, that album's good. I don't know specifically where Stars Hollow is from, but I know Louis from Tiny Voices in that scene is in Stars Hollow. So they're around that area. I'm probably lying. They're probably from like Indiana, but like you never know. It's usually not a big city, and if it's a big city, it's like a contingency of bands within that big city. But like it bubbles up, and it just comes out of nowhere, and then that's just where the next scene is. It's not easy, but then you go to a lot of places and it's like, this is a band that is doing a 70s jam band at Grateful Dead worship in 2026.
Yep, and that's our local support.
Yeah, that's our local support. And then they actually bring people, and then you're like, okay, hell yeah. and then you have a great time. That's the fun thing about touring at like a small scale, is that it's like you're just there to have fun.
Mm-hmm.
You're just there to have fun and to tell stories and to make mistakes and enjoy all the little things that happen, because even the biggest bands that you can think of were struggling at some point.
Oh, they all started there, right? And that's the
Coheed and Cambria weren't immediately household names. I mean, Second Stage Turbine Blade did not blow them up.
I think
sure as fuck did not.
I think that's the coolest thing about our world, right? Is that every single band, big or small, like especially the big ones, they had to start by grinding it out, right? Like there wasn't just like industry plants who were doing emo music and then all of a sudden playing, arenas. Like when you think about,
I'm sure there's some now, but like even still, it's like for the most part, Coheed and Cambria didn't start by having a group of diehard bands to the degree where they could make a cruise based around themselves.
None of those
No.
bands could. But
No.
like a Bruno Mars or a Katy Perry or those pop stars were literally just like throwing success at their face. Like they didn't have to grind it like our bands have to.
Even when they get to a major label, a lot of times bands are looked at as like I guess we'll give you a shot, because it doesn't make sense for a label to give money to a band when they could just give it to a solo artist where they could control who they're working with, what the final product is going to sound like, whatever. The problem when you work with a band is you tell them, all right, boys, that last record worked. Give us another one 2 years from now. And they go, yeah, but we don't want to sound like that anymore. And then they make a completely different sound. And then the record label gets it back and they go, what the fuck is this?
Yep.
Or the singer leaves or somebody gets in controversy or whatever. There are so many moving parts to bands that like major labels doesn't make sense for them at like literally at like a business level to invest in it, unless it's like a surefire thing. It's like, why would you do that when you could just like hire the 10 hottest producers for your newest and say, hey, you're working with these guys.
Mm-hmm.
And then they can also streamline the process a lot easier. It's really hard to get rock musicians to streamline the process. You tell them, hey, we got a songwriter for you guys, and they flip you off.
Mm-hmm.
It makes sense. I get it. And like grinding it out is just like, it's tough, but it's like the rock mentality, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
It's like, hey, let's tour 150 days out of the year. I don't think that even Chapel Run wants to do that. For rock musicians, like, let's go. You got to be a freak. You got to be a freak to still play a guitar in 2026.
Touche. Well, I guess that's that sums it up, right? You got to be a freak to still do it. So, I appreciate you guys hanging. We chatted and we got off the rails, man. We definitely touched on a lot of different waves of emo adjacent music throughout the generations. I love it. I love that we went all over the place. So I appreciate you guys hanging, and it sounds like we might have some summer tours or plans coming up. So we'll be on the lookout. But I appreciate the hangs, and I hope you have a great weekend and enjoy the rest of your busy May. Hope that show goes great tomorrow night. It's when people are listening, it's in the past, but it's like Back to the Future right now.
If the shows go bad, it's usually my It's usually.
All right. Well, enjoy your night. Thank you again.
You too.
We'll talk to you. Bye.
See ya.
See ya.